Here's how to clear 7. Oh, Rachel broke her back. Here's how to clear 75% of Isabella's HP.
7k dreamer please.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be looking at Isabella after Velika's introduction to the game. And over here I did about 75% of her HP. I think we can go further. Later on I'll explain why that is possible. So first things first, I'm going to cast Lina's buff instead of using Phoenix. The reason why is because I hope that she uses Catch Love, and over here she does. So casting Phoenix after she uses Catch Love is gonna help Rachel get her awakening skill up very fast. Because if she uses Catch Love after you use Phoenix, then your Rachel's awakening skill is gonna be removed because she will reduce awakening gauges of your heroes. Velika is unaffected because if you unlock her exclusive item, she will be immune to awakening gauge reductions. Thereafter, I'm gonna use Velika's skill. The reason why I'm using the bottom skill first is because the top skill actually resets the bottom skill. So for Velika's case, she really doesn't need too much skill cooldown mechanics, okay, because she can reset her own skill. And over here with the top skill used, she buffs her single target damage by 100%. In that case, you don't have to use Aragon's awaken skill anymore because it doesn't stack. Don't waste turns, don't waste time casting unnecessary skills. So Velika's awaken skill is up already. However, you realize that I did not queue for it. Instead, I'm gonna heal up with Lina. The reason why is because I want to use Lina's awaken skill. Lina's awaken skill does have an impact on Velika's damage output for 12 turns. So 100% increase in critical damage for 12 turns. This is very important for increased damage output. So once all your buffs are set, and make sure that Velika does not have the debuff from Isabella, I can cast my skill here and it does 11.7 million. You can push this amount further because first things first, I do not have magic attack fighter soul. I do not have increased damage on magic enemies. In that case, with these two not accounted for and I've dealt 11.7 million, I think with those two included, you can definitely push that damage much higher. And you have to take into account every single Velika skill later on because all these are without the increased damage to magic enemies and also without fighter soul increase in magic attack. So thereafter you have to play by ear. Usually I will just spam Velika's skill, use her skill, cool down her skill, use her skill, cool down her skill. That is the most standard part of most of the match. The part that you have to take note is that you have to keep a lookout for Rachel's debuff, which are the two icons at the top of the screen below Isabella's awaken gauge. Okay, you have to make sure once it's blinking, make sure you recast it the next turn. If you want to play it safe and you're afraid that you will miss it, then cast it a little earlier, maybe when it's 1 or 2 turns remaining. The next thing you have to take note is Lina's crit buff. Because remember I cast it on my first turn, which means it will end by the 12th or 13th turn. Which means if you don't cast it, you're gonna be losing a lot of firepower. And one skill lacking that firepower is gonna make a huge difference to your score. So always remember to look out for that. The next thing to look out, the third thing in fact, is Isabella's awaken gauge. Cannot stress this enough. Note that her awaken skill is gonna cause immediate death to your heroes, so at the right moment use Aragon's skill to reduce her awaken gauge by half. And with that in place, I think those 3 things are the most important things to look out for. Beyond that, it's really up to your playstyle, whether you want to heal to remove all your debuffs so that your heroes don't take too much damage from Isabella's basic attacks, or whether you want to actually use Phoenix after Isabella removes Rachel's awakened skill. Okay, so let me just talk about those 2 things. By healing, you actually remove the bleed and the poison Isabella casts on your heroes. Why is bleed and poison so detrimental? Because bleed procs when Isabella hits you and poison procs when you hit Isabella. Your heroes will definitely be doing basic attacks, and if they are doing too many basic attacks, especially Aragon who is the one countering, or if they are hit too many times by Isabella, they will take huge amounts of damage. Around 3000 side damage from the bleed and poison itself. The whole point is to preserve your front line because each hero here is very important. Sylvia increases magic attack, Lina is the one that provides your crit buff, Rachel causes the debuff, Aragon is the one that counters and cools down for Velika and also reduces Isabella's Awakened Gate. So each hero here plays a very vital role against this boss. The thing about sustaining your damage output is really to keep Sylvia alive, because I felt that when Sylvia dies too early, my damage output is lesser. It's visibly lesser. So you really want to try to keep Sylvia alive. So that's why I say heal when you need to. Don't be afraid to heal. I think healing is part and parcel of a strategy. It is not because you are lousy or too noob, okay? The next thing is using Phoenix at the right time. So sometimes you may want to increase your damage output, force increase your damage output for Velika. So you definitely need to pump Rachel's Awakened skill and make it ready so that Velika will do her maximum damage output possible. However, the thing you need to take note about this is that Isabella is a boss whereby her damage output increases over time or after a certain point of time in the match. Whether it's time-based or turn-based, I haven't actually figured out. I think it is time-based. Okay, so you see that she's already killing my heroes with one hit. And it is in those cases whereby I feel that saving your time, saving your turns is very important. So if you can afford and not increase Rachel's Awakened gauge physically or just let it run on its own, I think you can just continue spamming with Velika, because that is the opportunity cost when you use Rachel's skill. You lose one turn, one time of using Velika's skill. So your goal is not only to preserve your front line, but also to spam as many Velika skills as possible. Okay, and of course after around 7 minutes, I think she starts to do a lot of damage with her basic attack, especially the skill with the Minotaur. It can one-shot your heroes without a doubt. And over here, she is using her death call already, killing off everyone except my Rachel, and from this point on there's really no point because Rachel does absolutely no damage. And from here, I guess you can just stop the match because there's no point in going on because Rachel cannot do anything at all. Okay, at this point I'm just waiting, I'm just observing things and seeing my defeat. And I got a score of 41 million. So I think this is pretty good. It's about 75% of her HP. I'm going to show you guys my Velika's build, and this is why I said you can push this score much further. Double lethal, double HP, okay, double HP. Crit damage, magic attack, and as well as increased Awakened gauge. Increased Awakened gauge actually may not play a very big role, I feel, because it is a long battle, so her Awakened gauge is bound to come up and she's not subjected to decrease, so maybe you can change that to PvE skill cooldown so that you can spam more in between. That's just something to take note. And then for her accessory, crit damage and attack twice on basic attack. Also not very significant because it is a boss with a lot of HP, so the basic attack coming in from Velika is going to be not very frequent, and maybe you can opt for more crit damage instead. So for her traits, I've given her lethal and lethal rate as well as increased damage on magic heroes. I think that's okay, but for her fighter soul, I've given her single target increase, skill cooldown as well as reduced damage from magic, and that's because I don't have the increased magic attack. I don't have the fighter soul for increased damage dealt on magic heroes. Otherwise, I would definitely go for single target, magic attack and increased damage dealt on magic heroes. I think those will make a significant change in the scores. So without all those, I still managed to get 41 million. And over here we have Lina, double crit, HP, okay, defensive style jewels, PV skill cooldown so that she can pump up her crit rate buff even faster, but I think that's not very necessary. Status effect, resistance and recovery skill so that she heals more. Willful Ring is very important, and this is something that you need to put on your front line so that they have an additional time alive. And then for her traits, Poison Resist, if you feel rich, you can actually give her Bleed Resist as well. You don't have to give her Block Rate. I think damage decrease from magic heroes is pretty important. For Sylvia, double HP, very defensive jewels, okay, lifesteal, block rate, and damage reduction from block, if her block even procs. And I've given her poison and bleed resist. The point of this setup is really to push her bulk and I think she is a pretty important hero right here because increase in 50% of magic attack is significant. So that's why I'm doing my best to preserve her. I will try to heal when I think she's about to die, and that's my whole point of investing in her. And then we have Aragon, double counter, block rate, counter rate, as well as increased awakening gauge. Increased awakening gauge is super not important anymore because you're not going to use his awaken skill at all, and that is why you can also remove the speed of him, because in the past we used to give him the highest speed so that he can use his awaken skill as soon as possible against Isabella, who actually can reduce awakening gauges. So if you look at his accessory, I've given him the Willful Ring as well as the lifesteal. Now the lifesteal is not important here because he cannot do any damage on Isabella at all. So Willful Ring is the most important thing, and for his traits, make sure you have poison resist and bleed resist. He cannot suffer from any CC at all. For Rachel, double HP and increased awakening gauge is the most important duo. You need to have. The other two don't really matter. Willful Ring, and you can give her evasion. In fact, evasion is actually good for Sylvia and Lina as well. So for her traits, given her poison resist, you can also give her bleed resist if you feel rich. I do not have the topaz. I do not want to spend the topaz on her just for this boss because it's just for a short time. Yeah, and she's used in so many other places, so that's why I'm not investing too much. And these are my masteries. Make sure you flip it to magic because now you're using Velika. If you're using Shane, then of course keep it to physical. But for this case, against Isabella, we're using Velika. So magic attack increase, and all the rest are pretty standard, as with the other modes. For guild buffs, mine allies cooldown, crit rate, awakening gauge charge speed increase, lethal rate, and magic attack increase. You may want to choose for reduced block rate because as you saw in the video, Isabella does block quite a bit. So I'm not too sure which trait I would take out for that, but you can experiment with it. So if you did find this video helpful, do give it a like and subscribe to my channel. Stay tuned for more guys. Thank you so much and see you.